You wake up already behind. Not physically, not yet, but in your mind, the list is already started. The emails you didn't answer, the things you didn't finish yesterday, the conversation you're still carrying from last night. And before you've even gotten out of bed, you're already tired. Not from sleep, from the weight of what's waiting. You know this pattern. You've lived it enough times to recognize it. And yet, here you are again. Your thoughts already running, already behind before you've chosen anything. You know mornings could feel different, but knowing that doesn't slow your mind down. And you're not alone in this. Buddhism has understood something about beginnings for a very long time. And what it says about how you start your morning might completely change how you see your entire day. That's what we're going to look at together. Buddha once said, "Each morning we are born again. What we do today is what matters most. Not what you did yesterday, not what you're planning for next week. What you do today. And it starts the moment you open your eyes." Here's the thing about mornings most people don't realize. The first 30 minutes of your day don't just set your mood. They set the entire lens through which you'll see everything else. Think about it this way. When you start your morning in reaction mode, grabbing your phone, scrolling through news, checking messages before you've even had a thought of your own, you're handing your mind to someone else before you've had a chance to find it. And then the whole day runs from that place. Scattered, already overwhelmed, already behind. Buddhism calls this citta, the mind. And the nature of the unattended mind is that it latches. It latches onto the first thing it touches, and it runs from there. That's what's happening when you can't slow your thoughts down in the morning. Your mind latched before you chose. And the overthinking started before you were even out of bed. Let's look at what happens when you change that. The morning is not just a time, it is a step. Most people treat the morning as a starting line. Get up, get ready, get going. But in Buddhist understanding, the morning is something else entirely. It's a window, a brief window where the mind is closest to stillness, where the noise of yesterday hasn't fully gathered yet, where you have a moment, if you take it, to choose who you're going to be today. The Pali word is sampajanya, clear comprehension, the practice of knowing what you're doing and why as you do it. Most mornings, you skip that entirely. You go straight into doing, and the day runs you. But here's what changes when you don't skip it. When you step into the morning with even a small amount of presence, even 5 minutes of being present before the day pulls you away, something shifts in how the whole day feels. You're not starting from behind anymore. You're starting from center. And that's a completely different way to move through a day. It doesn't require a 2-hour ritual. It doesn't require a perfect routine or a silent house or anything expensive. It requires just one thing, a moment of choosing before reacting. That's the whole practice. And that practice begins the second you open your eyes. Most people don't realize they have that moment. They think the morning just happens to them, but it doesn't. The morning is offered to you every single day, and what you do with it determines far more than you've probably given it credit for. Now, there's something worth understanding here. This isn't about willpower. It's not about discipline in the way most people think of discipline. It's about awareness, because the moment you become aware that you have a choice, even if you still reach for the phone, the relationship between you and that choice has already changed. You can see it. And what you can see, you can eventually shift. Not all at once, but the seeing is always the first step. What you reach for first is what you tell your mind it needs. Here's what most people do without realizing it. The moment they wake up, they reach for stimulation. Phone, news, notifications, something happening somewhere that tells their brain, pay attention. This is urgent, and the brain listens because the brain is remarkably good at becoming what it's trained to look for. If the first thing your mind touches every morning is urgency, over time, urgency becomes its default setting. Buddhism describes this through the concept of mental formations, sankhara, the idea that the patterns we feed, we strengthen. The habits of attention we repeat, we deepen. Not because we're weak, because that's how minds work. So when you reach for your phone before you've taken a breath, you're not just checking your messages. You're training your nervous system to need stimulation before it can function. You're telling your mind, we can't just be. We have to be receiving something. We have to be reacting to something. We have to be plugged in before we're even allowed to be awake. And the mind learns that quickly, deeply. Over time, you'll find that the stillness of the morning starts to feel genuinely uncomfortable. Not because stillness is bad, but because you've trained your mind to feel incomplete without noise. The stillness starts to feel like something is wrong, like you're missing something, like you should be doing something by now, and that feeling is not the truth. That feeling is just the habit speaking. Here's the more honest way to put it. You've probably felt it before, that creeping unease in the morning quiet, that restless pull toward checking something, doing something, knowing something. And here's what that is. That's not a sign that the stillness is wrong. That's a sign that it's working. The discomfort is the habit noticing that it isn't being fed. That's not a reason to stop. That's actually the reason to stay. Consider what happens instead when you don't reach, when you let the morning be quiet for a moment, when you let your mind gather itself before you hand it to the world. That quiet isn't emptiness. That quiet is actually where your clearest thinking lives, where your most honest sense of yourself exists before the noise shapes it. You don't have to sit in meditation for an hour. Even 2 minutes of not reaching, 2 minutes of just being present in your own body before the day begins. That changes the baseline. Not dramatically at first, but steadily, the way a river shapes a valley. Not through force, through consistency. The body knows before the mind admits. You might have noticed this. You wake up, and before you formed a single clear thought, you already know what kind of day it's going to be. Not because you predicted it, because your body set the tone before your mind caught up. This is not mystical. This is biology intersecting with something Buddhism has named for centuries. The body is not separate from the mind. In Buddhist understanding, they are not two things operating in parallel. They are one continuous process, each affecting the other constantly. When you wake up and immediately tense your shoulders, when your jaw is tight before your feet hit the floor, when your breathing is already shallow before you've opened the curtains, your body is already in a state, and your mind will organize itself around that state. This is why how you move through the first few minutes of your morning matters so much. Not dramatically, small thing. Do you breathe slowly before you stand up? Do you take a moment to feel the ground under your feet? Do you let your body exist before you ask it to perform? These aren't self-help tricks. They're attention practices. The smallest version of what meditators spend years developing. And they're available to you every single morning. Here's something worth sitting with. When your body is tense, your thoughts become smaller, more defensive, more reactive. You feel mentally tired before the day has even asked anything of you. The world feels like it's happening to you. When your body is even slightly more settled, your thinking opens up. You notice more. You respond rather than react. You see options where before you only saw walls. The world feels like something you're moving through rather than something pushing back. The morning is where that settles. Before the demands arrive, before the noise turns on, before the day has asked anything of you at all. That first breath you take consciously, before you check anything, before you speak to anyone, before you engage with anything outside yourself. That breath is a practice. It's the smallest possible version of sati, mindfulness. And it works even when you don't believe it will. Even on the days it feels like nothing. Even on the days you forget by 9 a.m. The practice still did something. The body still received something. And over time, that quiet becomes something you can draw on. The stories you tell in the first hour are the stories you carry all day. Something is shifting in how you understand this, because it's not just about the phone. It's not just about the routine. It's about the stories. Before most people are fully awake, their mind has already started narrating. Today is going to be hard. I have too much to do. I'm already running late. And the thoughts won't slow down long enough to question any of it. Nothing ever goes right on days like this. And here's what that does. It's not just negativity. It's a filter. Once your mind decides today is going to be hard, it starts looking for evidence that it's right. And it finds it. Because your mind is extraordinarily good at finding whatever it's looking for. Buddhism doesn't call this pessimism. It calls it the sankharas, the habitual mental formations, the way patterns compound on themselves until they feel like reality rather than habit. Think about what that means in practice. If the first narrative of your morning is "I'm behind," then every small obstacle throughout the day confirms it. Traffic feels like punishment. A difficult email feels like the universe agreeing with you. One thing going wrong feels like proof of a pattern. But it's not a pattern. It's a filter. And filters are not facts. The morning is where those patterns either get interrupted or get fed. You have a brief window right at the start of the day where the story hasn't locked in yet, where you can, without forcing anything, notice what narrative your mind is reaching for and just gently not feed it. Not by replacing it with forced optimism, not by pretending everything is fine when it isn't, but by simply not adding fuel. Not following the story all the way down into the spiral before your coffee is even ready. That's the practice. Just that small, just that real. And over days and weeks of doing that, you'll notice something. The mornings start feeling different. Not because your life changed overnight, because your starting point changed. And a different starting point leads to a different day, every single time. Not a perfect day, a more grounded one. One where you're less at the mercy of what the first hour handed you. Intention is not a goal. It is a direction. Here's the thing most people get wrong about morning routines. They make them into performance. Wake up at 5 a.m. Journal for 30 minutes. Meditate, exercise, cold shower. Read for 20 minutes. Plan your day in perfect detail. Be productive by 7. And then they miss one day and the whole thing collapses because they built a system instead of a practice. Systems are fragile. Practices are not. A system says, do these exact steps in this exact order or you failed. A practice says, come back to what matters. However you can, wherever you are, whatever the morning gave you. Buddhism doesn't ask you to be perfect in the morning. It asks you to be present. There's a real difference between those two things. Setting an intention for your day is not the same as making a to-do list. An intention is not a goal you succeed or fail at. It's a direction you move toward. Maybe your intention is just this. Today, I want to notice when I'm reacting instead of responding. Or today, I want to do one thing at a time. Or simply, today, I want to be kind. That's it. That's the whole thing. And here's what happens when you set that kind of intention. Not a perfect day, not a productive day by some external standard, but a day that has a center. A day where, when things get hard, you have something to return to. A direction. A small compass point that was yours from the beginning. That's what intention gives you. Not a guarantee, a direction. And when you get pulled away from that direction, which you will, because life doesn't adjust itself to your morning intentions, you can return to it. That return, that noticing and coming back is not failure. That's actually the practice. Each time you return, you strengthen the capacity to return. Each time you notice you've drifted, you've already started finding your way back. That's the whole thing. And it all starts in the morning, with one simple act of choosing a direction before the day starts choosing for you. Buddha said, every morning we are born again. That's the invitation. Not to be a different person, not to have the perfect day, but to choose a direction. One more time, today. And every morning you choose, you get a little better at choosing. Not because you're more disciplined, because you're practicing. And practice, over time, becomes character. There's a reason Buddhism returns again and again to the idea of daily practice. Not annual resolutions, not occasional efforts, daily practice. Because transformation doesn't happen in big moments. It happens in the accumulated weight of small, consistent ones. The person who spends 5 intentional minutes every morning for a year is not the same person who started. Not because they followed a perfect system, because they practiced day after day, through the mornings that felt pointless, through the mornings they were late, through the mornings they forgot entirely and came back the next day. That's the practice. That's all it is. What you do with the first silence shapes what you do with every noise. There is a silence available to you in the morning. Before the world turns on, before the notifications arrive, before the demands of other people reach you. Most people don't trust it. It feels like a gap that needs to be filled. So they fill it immediately. With sound, with stimulation, with something. But that silence is not a gap. It's actually the most useful thing available to you all day. In mindfulness practice, there's something called the space between stimulus and response. The moment where you have a choice. Most people's spaces are so small they don't even notice them. They react automatically all day. And they wonder why they feel so depleted by evening. But here's what's actually happening. Reacting without pause is exhausting in a way that's hard to describe. It's not physical tiredness. It's the exhaustion of having never been the one deciding anything, of having been pulled through your own day rather than moving through it. The morning is where you widen that space, not by doing something complicated, by sitting in the silence for a moment and letting it be silence, by resisting the urge to immediately fill it, by getting comfortable with the fact that nothing is happening yet. And that's okay. You don't have to earn the right to exist in the morning. You don't have to be productive before you're allowed to be still. When you do this regularly, when you practice meeting silence without flinching, you start to carry that capacity into the rest of your day. The moment someone sends a message that irritates you, you have a space. The moment a conversation goes somewhere you didn't expect, you have a space. The moment something doesn't go the way you planned, you have a space. And in that space, you have a choice. That choice is trained in the morning, in the silence, before you fill it with anything else. Each time you resist the immediate reach, you're not just having a quiet morning. You're building the capacity to be less reactive for the rest of the day. And over time, that capacity compounds. You'll find yourself catching reactions before they fully land. You'll notice the pull toward frustration and have just enough space to let it settle. You'll feel the anxious thought arrive and not immediately believe it's a fact. That's not a personality change. That's a morning practice. The morning is not about being productive. It is about being oriented. Here's what the Buddhist understanding of mornings ultimately comes down to. It's not about waking up earlier. It's not about doing more. It's not about optimizing your output or fitting more into your first hour than anyone else does. It's about orientation. Which direction are you facing when the day begins? Are you facing toward the noise, the urgency, the endless stream of things demanding your attention? Or are you facing inward, even for a moment, to find your own ground before the day pulls you outward? You don't have to face inward for long, even a minute, even the time it takes to drink a glass of water slowly, with attention, without rushing. Think about what it means to spend a whole day disoriented. You move from task to task, but nothing feels quite connected. You're reacting, adjusting, managing. But underneath it all, there's a low hum of something missing. Not a crisis, just an absence. The absence of knowing what direction you're facing. That absence is what a grounded morning prevents. Not by solving anything, by giving you a starting point that's yours. When you orient yourself before the day begins, you spend less of the day being disoriented. It doesn't mean everything will go perfectly. It doesn't mean the hard things won't be hard. It means you'll meet them from a more grounded place. And a more grounded place changes the quality of everything. How you respond to difficulty, how you show up in conversations, how you recover when something doesn't go the way you expected, how much of the day you actually feel present for rather than just passing through. Not all at once, gradually, the way the morning light comes in, quietly, then all at once. There's something Buddha said that holds all of this together. The mind is everything. What you think, you become. And the mind begins its becoming each morning. In those first minutes, in that first breath, in that first choice you either make or let happen to you. What you choose to be in the morning is not a declaration. It's a practice, a quiet, repeated, unglamorous practice. But it's yours, completely yours, every single morning. And that's the part most people miss. Not the technique, not the perfect routine, the ownership. The morning belongs to you before it belongs to anyone else. That window, however small, however imperfect, is yours. And what you do with that window shapes everything that follows. Here's what we've looked at today. How you begin your morning is not just a habit, it's a practice. It's the first choice of your day, and it shapes every choice that comes after. The mind is trainable, and the morning is where that training happens. Not in some dramatic transformation, in small, steady, repeated acts of presence. What you reach for, what you allow to settle, what story you feed, what direction you choose. All of it starts before the day has asked anything of you. Right there, in the quiet, in the few minutes before the world arrives. Buddha understood something we sometimes forget in all the noise. We are born again each morning, not as a metaphor, as a practice. The person who woke up yesterday, carrying yesterday's weight, that person doesn't have to be the first version of you today. You have this moment, quiet, before the world arrives. Use it, not perfectly, just intentionally. And if this kind of content helps you start your mornings differently, if it gives you something to carry into your day, consider subscribing. There's more here, and it's made for you.